The dumbest and deadliest fight I've ever had. This has to be, without a doubt, the most stupid and almost deadly fight I've ever been a part of. I still can't believe it happened. As I sit here thinking about it, it feels like a dream, or more like a nightmare. One I just woke up from, confused, angry, and still in shock. It all started earlier today, July 27th, 2025. The night before, my friends and I were out drinking at this local bar we go to pretty often. It wasn't anything fancy, just our usual hangout spot with decent music, cheap drinks, and a mixed crowd. Some of my close friends were there, and a couple of acquaintances too. People I didn't know too well, but enough to say hi and make small talk with. The night went on like any normal night. We laughed, drank way too much, danced a bit, and talked about everything and nothing at the same time. By the time the bar was getting ready to close, none of us were ready to call it a night. So we decided to continue the party at one of my friend's places. He lived close by, and his house had enough space for all of us to crash if things went too far, which, spoiler alert, they did. At the house, the vibes were still good. We had music playing on the speakers, drinks flowing, and people scattered around, some in the kitchen, some in the living room, and a couple out in the backyard smoking. I even got up and cooked something simple for everyone. Nothing fancy, just some eggs, toast, and whatever snacks we found in the pantry. People were thankful, and for a moment, I felt like the night was going to end on a high note. But of course, there's always that one guy who can't read the room. That one person who decides that a party at 4 a.m., filled with drunk, happy people, is the perfect time to bring up politics. Yeah, politics. Now, I don't mind talking about serious stuff, but there's a time and a place, and that was definitely not it. The guy in question was this heavyset dude. I won't say his name, but he was one of those acquaintances I barely knew. He wasn't even a close friend of my friend who owned the house. I think he just tagged along with someone else. Anyway, this guy, out of nowhere, started talking about the political situation in our country, not the USA, but our own messed up system. He brought it up casually at first, but then he started getting louder, more intense, like he wanted everyone to listen to his rant. Most of us just ignored him, hoping he'd get the hint and stop, but he didn't. In fact, he doubled down. I was sitting on the sofa, sipping a cold beer, trying to stay out of it. I didn't want any drama, but for some reason he kept looking at me and asking me what my opinion was. At first I just smiled and told him I wasn't in the mood to get into all that. I even said, "Hey man, can we talk about something else? This is kind of killing the vibe." But that only seemed to encourage him. He started calling people ignorant, saying stuff like, "Most people don't even understand how the system works, and y'all are part of the problem." You know the type. Loud, self-righteous, and acting like he's the only one who has it all figured out. My friend, the one who owned the house, finally stepped in and told him to chill, and for a moment it seemed like he would. He even turned to me again and said, "Okay man, seriously, I'm just curious. What do you think about it?" At that point, I thought maybe I could just say a few things and move on. So I gave in. I started talking, carefully choosing my words, not trying to offend anyone. But before I could even finish a single thought, this dude was cutting me off, jumping to another topic, or asking me questions before I had a chance to answer the first one. It felt like a trap. I gave it a shot, but after about 2 or 3 sentences, I was done. I looked at him and said, "Dude, I'm not even trying to argue with you. Either change the topic or talk to the wall." I figured that would end it. But nope, he wouldn't stop. Even after I went back to my beer trying to enjoy the music and mind my business, he kept taunting me, making little comments, throwing shade, trying to bait me back into the conversation. At first I ignored him. I really did try to keep my cool, but eventually I snapped. I raised my voice and said, "Dude, I don't want to talk to you, period." That's when things started going downhill, fast. The guy got angry, like really angry. He started yelling, swearing, getting all worked up because I wasn't giving him the attention he clearly craved. Then he started throwing insults, at me, at my family, even bringing up stuff that was way too personal. He said something like, "You and your whole family are inferior anyway." That's when I lost it. I stood up and said, "Your mother's a whore," without even thinking. I know it was low, but I was beyond pissed. That lit a fire under him. He stood up too and started threatening me, acting like he was going to get physical. I told him flat out, "It won't be easy." That's when he stormed into the kitchen. At first, I thought he was just walking away, but then I saw him grab a knife. A freaking knife. My friends jumped in immediately and held him back. They were yelling at him to calm down, pushing him away from me. I stood my ground but didn't make a move. I wasn't about to run, but I wasn't going to charge at a guy holding a knife either. Then, in the middle of the chaos, he broke free just enough to grab a beer bottle and throw it at me. It hit the wall behind me and shattered, glass flying everywhere. And that's when I snapped completely. I charged him and punched him right in the face. The hit landed hard, and his nose started gushing blood. It must have been the adrenaline, but I didn't even feel my fist connect. I just knew I had to stop him before he grabbed anything else. I shoved him down onto the couch where I had been sitting earlier, pushed him face down, and made sure that knife was nowhere near either of us. I pinned him there, breathing hard, trying to calm myself down while my heart was racing. People were yelling, pulling us apart. Eventually, we were separated and someone hid the knife. I backed off and went to the other side of the room, my shirt now stained with his blood. He sat there, holding his nose, looking dazed and humiliated. The mood in the room had completely changed. Everyone was quiet, awkward, and tense. No one knew what to say. I just grabbed another drink and sat down again, trying to act normal, even though my hands were still shaking a little. A while later, after things had calmed down and the music was turned off, the guy walked up to me. His shirt was stained with blood, his nose swollen and bent at a weird angle. He looked at me and, without much emotion, stuck out his hand. We shook hands awkwardly. I didn't say anything. He didn't either. Then he turned and left. I didn't look back. I spent the rest of the morning just sitting there in disbelief. I kept thinking, did that really just happen? One minute we were drinking and laughing, and the next I was dodging a flying beer bottle and pinning a guy to a couch so he wouldn't stab me. It's wild how fast things can change. How one dumb conversation at the wrong time with the wrong person can nearly turn into something deadly. Honestly, I'm not even angry anymore, I'm just stunned. What a freaking night.